By the mid-80s, shred guitar was everywhere. From Shrapnel Records to MTV, solos were being pushed past every limit the guitar had known. But the reason those solos were the kind you remember years later has almost nothing to do with speed. What if that same thing could still change the way you play today? Rack gear, stereo chorus, endless sustain, it was everywhere. But what if the real magic behind those solos went deeper than gear and speed? Think of Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho shower scene. It's barely 45 seconds long, but it's built like a tiny self-contained film. The quiet setup, the rising tension, then the shocking release. You remember the arc, not just the scream. That's exactly what the best 80s players did in their solos. They built little mini compositions inside the song. Introduction, problem, climax. The introduction is where you set the stage. What are you going to say and how are you going to say it? Let me show you a couple of classic ways to start. First one, harmonics plus a bend. This is such an exciting way to open a solo. It's like firing fireworks right away. Here I'm playing the natural harmonics on the 5th fret of the 2nd and 3rd strings, and then bending up on the 15th fret of the 2nd string. Another way, start from the bar before the solo. You let the line lead into the solo even before it officially starts. Sometimes these connect perfectly with the last phrase of the vocals. Just make sure you're not stepping on the singer if they're still holding out a line. And another classic, open with a melodic phrase. That works great, but avoid copying the main vocal melody because that's what leads us right into the next section of the solo. The problem. This is where tension starts to build. Playing the main vocal line or something close to it always works. It reminds the listener of the melody, but now play on the guitar. Use just a section of it. If you overdo it, your solo turns into the vocal line and it's just boring. Another way is to use a phrase with a lot of movement, like this. Or a moving picking sequence, not the ultra fast stuff, more like this. The climax. You can use some fast sweeps like this one. It's a sweep picking arpeggio in A minor. Or a fast alternate picking line followed by a bend, like this one. These examples work for both short and long solos. If the solo is short, you have to fill the intro, the problem and the climax into a few bars. And if it's longer, you can spend more time on each section. What matters is keeping the arc of the story. But what if a solo didn't just tell a story, but carry the weight of a myth? One composer in history wrote lines so extreme, guitarists are still stealing them 200 years later. In the final duel of Crossroads, Steve Vai, as Chuck Butler, plays a killer variation of Paganini's Caprice No. 5. That scene became iconic. And Paganini himself, he was the original shredder, a violinist so far beyond his time that people swore he'd made a deal with the devil. Some biographies claim his father withheld food if he didn't practice. Whether or not that's literally true, we know he was pushing to marathon sessions of 10 or 12 hours a day, and it left its mark. The result was control and speed no one had seen before, runs that blur into a single sound, leaps across strings that seem physically impossible. Combine that with the dark minor tonalities of his music and the effect was pure mystery. That same shadow reached across centuries until it landed in the hands of Yngwie Malmsteen, Jason Becker and Michael Romeo, who transformed Paganini's dark elegance into the fire and precision that defined 80s neoclassical shred. Let me show you a couple of cool examples of how to bring this sound and drama into your solos. This first one works as a climax phrase. This next one covers 2 octaves and can be used as part of the problem in the solo story to create tension. And here's the Bach-inspired phrase that also creates tension. And that's the real secret behind the neoclassical sound. Not just speed, but the sense of drama Paganini mastered. But the 80s still have one more surprise up its sleeve. And just when you thought you heard it all, in the early days of aviation, there was a rule you didn't break: never fly into a storm. But a few pilots noticed something strange. If you enter the storm in the right way, using turbulence instead of fighting it, you could break speed records no one thought were possible. It was risky, it was unpredictable, but it opened an entirely new way to fly. And some players brought that same mindset to the guitar. That's exactly what Richie Kotzen, Greg Howe and Blue Saraceno did. They had the same technical firepower as the best of the era, but they took it into places no one expected, mixing rock, fusion and blues without losing the edge that made the 80s shred era so explosive. Let me show you one killer lick from each of these players. These are great tension or problem licks for today's formula. Let's start with Blue Saraceno. This is a blues-inspired lick that will mess with your head when you're learning it. It's tricky to play but sounds amazing. Start very slowly with this one and focus on the swing feel before you even think about speeding it up. Next is Richie Kotzen. This one's a legato lick in quintuplets. It's got a ton of movement and works perfectly as a problem section lick. And here's Greg Howe. Like always with Howe, his licks sound unusual and unexpected, and that's exactly what they make such great problem section licks. And that's why Saraceno, Kotzen and Howe left their mark on 80s guitar. Their solos could stand next to the neoclassical giants and still break the rules in all the right ways. Some of the most powerful solos of the 80s weren't just fast. Some had the drama of classical virtuosos, and others came from players who refused to stay in one style. So what was the real power behind those solos? Was it speed, or the way each one was played with purpose, creating emotion, building tension, and releasing it in a way that still resonates today? Please let me know in the comments. But even the most emotional, well-built solo won't feel the same if something's slowing your speed down. And that's exactly what I'll show you how to fix in this next video.